Okay, ICE protests.
Yes, so you've talked about the Liberals once already, aren't you? They're in meltdown over all this, aren't they?
Puns about
Oh,
ICE.
dear.
Very good.
Yes.
I liked it, to be fair, some of the protesters, they had some signs. I think it was something like Minnesota can handle a little bit of ice or something like that. And I thought, yeah, if you're going to protest,
Have a
do
decent,
it well. Yeah.
Yeah, have a decent placard.
So, okay, where do you start with something like this? As you know, there's been a big crackdown by ICE on illegal immigration. There was 2 weeks ago today, I believe, the 7th of January, Renee Nicole Good, a citizen in Minneapolis, was shot and killed by an ICE officer. Do you know what ICE stands for?
Immigration. No.
Do you know, I wonder how many people that are really upset about this and posting about it even know what it stands for, but Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Okay.
So it's a federal agency, and obviously the US system works differently to the UK, and a lot of police will be state police.
Yeah.
Whereas they have ICE is a federal agency, like I think the DEA is a federal agency, and the Customs and Border Protection, that's another one. There's loads of federal agencies. So I don't know if listeners will have watched the video of because there's many different camera angles.
I haven't.
You haven't?
I can't watch anything like that. I can't watch, Tom and Jerry, where the cat gets hit by a frying pan. I can't watch something like that. I'm very poor.
Okay, crikey. It's not too bad, to be honest.
Okay.
In terms of, I've seen worse videos out there on the internet. Because you don't see much of the nasty part of it. But essentially, Renee Good and her partner are interacting with ICE agents, and Renee is in the driver's seat of her car.
And she's part of a demonstration, isn't she, against ICE?
Yeah, it's a bit, I suppose it's a bit complicated. Supposedly, the ICE agents are on their way back from particular... exercise, let's say, yeah, and they come across this car parked diagonally in the street, sort of blocking their way. That's the way I think it started, but the video shows that there's been quite a lot of interaction up until that point because they're in conversation. And anyway, the key part of the video is that there's a shot of and you can see this of first, I wouldn't say first person, but you can see it from sort of the police officer's perspective, the ICE officer, looking towards the car, and then you can see it from the other angle as well, so you get a good angle on this. But at one point they ask her to step out the car, and she drives straight into the ICE officer and away. As she does that, he fires on her and kills her. So if you remember a while back, and I think it was probably the second episode we did of Take Me Home, there's a lot of self-referencing going on today. We talked about a case with Chris Cabba.
Yep.
Who had, I think he'd pulled a gun out, maybe shot somebody in a nightclub, and then was being chased by police, and he drove into a police officer and the police officer shot. I think that is so different to what happened with Renee Good, particularly because of the threat that Chris Cabba offered.
Yes.
Offer a threat.
Yeah.
Whereas Renee Good was clearly, I think if you watch the video, a nuisance, very annoying, but there is, I think, law enforcement officers watching that would say that if somebody there ends up dead, something's gone very wrong, and the law enforcement officers have done a really bad job, because there's no reason why an incident like that should end up in the death of somebody. Now, somebody might say she drove into him. The car is a weapon.
Yeah, weaponising the car
with Chris Cabba. I think it's very, very different in this incident.
Okay.
Chris Cabba was much more head on. The Renee Good one, he's by the side of the vehicle, or by the front side, and he does get hit. You can see that it hits him, but he very much sort of jumps out the way. So he jumps out the way. You then see videos later of that particular officer walking around, and he looks fine. right? And I know that's sort of
Yeah.
quite anecdotal in a way, but I really don't think there was that much severity in what happened. And perhaps he's fired, you know, spontaneously.
Yeah.
But then he's a trained law enforcement officer. You know, he
Yeah.
should be able to deal with that situation much
So
better
two
than
things
Harry
there.
Dent
One
would.
is that they've been recruited very quickly, haven't they? So how much training they have, I think, is a bit of a question mark over that.
Yeah.
And is he a law enforcement officer?
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
not a police officer,
No,
is
not a
he?
police officer, but ICE are part
Yeah.
of law enforcement.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the Immigration and Customs Enforcement is enforcing the law.
Okay.
Now, one of the big misunderstandings with a lot of what's happening with ICE is that people think they need a warrant. Now, you don't need a warrant for a civil arrest. And these are not criminal arrests unless somebody has committed a crime.
Okay.
They are, and when I say a crime, you know, murdering somebody,
Yeah.
stealing something.
Yeah. Not just overstaying your
Not
visa.
just overstaying a visa or
Yeah,
illegally
okay.
entering the country.
Okay.
Those are civil arrests. That's part of civil law.
Okay.
And for that, you don't need a warrant. Now, there are some incidents where ICE have entered hospitals and places to apprehend somebody. ICE says that they do that very rarely, and it's only under certain circumstances when there's a flight risk.
Yeah.
Now, ICE themselves, they produce administrative warrants themselves. So it's not, a judge doesn't give that warrant
Okay.
like they would with a criminal arrest. You
Yeah.
have to get a warrant from a judge. So it's very different in that sense, criminal and civil law.
Okay.
There are there's been a lot of protests since the Rene Good, and there's been protests ever since Trump got back into power a year ago.
Yeah.
But these have heated up massively. And what it's doing is it's throwing this potential civil unrest, civil conflict right to the fore. And it's something that we've talked about a lot. I think it's the number one issue in politics is this idea that there's a potential civil war coming, with people becoming further and further to one side of an issue.
Polarised, yeah.
Further polarised.
Yeah.
And the people that are protesting and the Democrats, the politicians that I would say are very much encouraging them through some of the dialogue and the discourse, they are acting in what they think is the most moral way. And they see this as something that's akin to Nazi Germany, you know, with rounding up people that don't look like them, rounding up people with brown skin. And you have to take that for what it is and sort of assess it on its own merit and say, okay, is that happening? And is it like Nazi Germany? I think historical comparisons are always a way of creating unnecessary emotion within an argument.
Yes.
You know, you can compare something historically, but you shouldn't need to compare it historically to make your point.
Yeah.
So, for example, if something were happening that really was Nazi Germany or worse, I wouldn't need to say, oh, this is similar to Nazi Germany for it to be a bad thing. I could make my case without that. It's fine referencing it, but I think often that's a way of adding unnecessary emotion into it. And I know that people are on that side of the issue and are really scared of the ICE stuff. They really believe, well, a lot of them really believe in it is as bad as Nazi Germany. I think when you look into each of the cases, there is more nuance.
Yeah.
Having said that, there are plenty of cases where I think ICE are acting in a way that I wouldn't want law enforcement to act. Now, that is in an American context. If you look at the police in America compared to the UK, police in America are far more aggressive, far more violent. You know, immediately holding a gun at a person in a driver's seat saying, get out of the vehicle. You know, you've seen plenty of video evidence for that because they're worried that the person inside the vehicle might have a gun.
Yeah,
One of the nice things, regardless of what you think about it, of not having not having massive gun ownership in the UK is the fact that police officers can be a lot more relaxed and a lot more kind and friendly.
Yeah.
And so I do think that ICE are acting in a way it's potentially deliberate to try and drive this wedge into the argument and to separate the two sides, because I think Trump has shown this a lot. You know, Trump is in many ways a necessary, call him a necessary evil. Like, I think Trump is really highlighting some of the frailties of our system, But Trump has shown the whole time that he's not interested in winning over the whole of the population. He's interested in speaking to his group, which he hopes is more than half of the population, obviously, so to have electoral success.
Yes.
But he's not interested in appeasing those on that side. And that's where I'm a little bit more uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what you might say about ICE is that it does feel, to me at least, I mean, looking from the outside in, really, that a lot of what they do is very kind of performative, and it's meant to keep the right happy.
Yeah.
And so, maybe to some extent there is an element where you just have to say, well, that's kind of what is happening in the country to keep the people who are the most vociferous about this on side, which is fine when they're kind of just being a bit cocky and annoying. But when they're actually shooting people who are innocent of any crime, that's not just performative, is it? That is really problematic.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel that there does need to be a holding to account of ICE operatives, whereas at the same time there needs to be an acceptance that they are doing something that is mandated by an administration that has a democratic mandate.
Yeah, I think there's a much higher threshold for investigating a police officer's actions or a law enforcement agent's actions in America than there is in the UK. So the example of Rene Good, he's not under a criminal investigation, which I think he probably should be.
Yeah.
But a lot of in America, there is this context of very high support for the police, and they think the police should be defended and shouldn't be put on trial for various things. I think there could be a light investigation, something that just establishes is there a course for criminally investigating.
Yeah.
I think that would be reasonable. And certainly just to say, is this the sort of person we want working for law enforcement?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Which comes back to that thing, doesn't it? That a lot of these people have been recruited quite quickly, and maybe they haven't gone through the right vetting procedures. Maybe they haven't been thoroughly trained, which is not a million miles away from some of the discussions we've got with the police force in the UK. True.
I think that the problem is social media and the way that we get our information does cloud it. So I think there are some misapprehensions, misunderstandings. ICE started in 2003, and it was a response to 9/11 in many ways.
Right.
So it's been around for a long time, over 20 years. And there isn't a massive increase in the activity. A lot of it is the way the media are covering it.
Okay.
So, for example, I thought I'd go through some of the stats of illegal immigrants in the US.
Okay.
Roughly how many illegal immigrants do you think there are in the US?
No idea. 10 million.
Wow, 10 million.
Yeah.
Is correct.
Is it?
Yeah, 10 million. Roughly 10 million. Very hard to know the exact figures, but generally when there have been studies into this, they all seem to be around the 10 million mark.
Okay. That was a complete guess, by the way. That was a fluke.
What percentage of those do you think entered the country illegally?
20%?
55%.
Oh, wow. A lot more than I thought.
45% is visa issues, whether they've overstayed or they've got the wrong visa.
I'm judging it perhaps by UK standards, where in the UK, most illegal immigrants are not people who came over on boats. Yes. They are people who've overstayed visas.
Yeah, and there's one big difference.
We're an island.
Yeah. So America, the border is so porous that there is much more illegal immigration that's coming over the Mexican border. Now, those crossings have decreased a lot, actually, since Trump got into power. But anyway, around half of those illegal immigrants live in just 5 states. Florida, Texas, California, New York, and Illinois.
Okay.
So the big cities.
Yeah.
Most illegal immigrants live in big cities.
Yeah.
Urban areas.
Yeah.
And if you think about Illinois, where Chicago is, and the others are big states, New York, Los Angeles, Anyway, deportations then, and this is somewhat harder to measure because there's a lot of policy changes adapt the way that somebody's considered to have been deported. And earlier administrations like Clinton and Bush, they considered people that were turned away at the border as to be a deportation.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
it's hard to get exact data. But just
Okay.
on Obama,
Yeah.
how many people do you think he deported during his time?
Million?
5 million.
Oh, wow.
And he was actually, I think Trump said this, he termed him the deporter in chief. I'm not sure if it was Trump, but
Okay.
because it's again a relatively unknown thing that Obama deported an awful lot of people.
Yeah, okay.
Trump's first term,
3 million?
2 million.
Okay.
So he deported fewer people than Obama did. Biden, 4.5 million.
Oh, gosh, right, okay.
And Trump in this first year of this term, 600,000.
Okay.
That's the data I have. And people can can find their own data. That's the best I've managed to find. But you can see that it's once you look into the numbers, the picture becomes a little bit more nuanced, and you realise a lot of it is performative.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they put on the Homeland Security Twitter account or the White House Twitter account is crazy because they're celebrating it of every person they deport, and cheering it on because they are appealing to that the base that wants to see people deported.
Yeah.
Emily Maitlis. I'm just checking. It is Emily Maitlis now. I've got that right. News agents.
Yes, that's
right?
one. Yeah.
I saw a video of her this morning that she saw a deportation flight and she was shocked and just beside herself. She said she'll never forget this sight. And I thought that's weird to me because those people on board, unless you believe them to be US citizens or actually legally entitled to stay, they are people that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
They are, by their nature, illegal immigrants.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like the term illegal immigrants, unauthorized immigrants, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to be in the country.
Yeah.
They're being deported. And it's part of this liberal bias. It's like, I think they reveal their bias, that they assume that every country that they're being deported to is some sort of hellhole.
Yes.
Right? Where they're going to be murdered immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, what was I leaning towards then?
You were doing the numbers game. You were saying, and Trump's actually no.
So for me, a lot of it's performative, but the politicians are responding to the electorate and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it creates this scene where Democrats and the liberals in America are defending the country in their eyes from fascism.
Okay. Yeah.
And then on the other side, you have people that think these people are rapists, murderers, criminals, and Trump and law enforcement are legally trying to preserve the peace and protect people.
Yeah.
And then liberals who don't care about people being raped and murdered
are
preventing that. I'm just that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Okay.
Now, when you have that discourse, that dialogue, it reaches a boiling point where we are going to see more civil unrest.
Yeah.
And I do think we could get to a point where there would be massive amount of conflict within states where state police might end up clashing with federal police. And that sort of thing, I don't know if you remember the Catalonia independence referendum.
Yeah, I do.
Where the local police were there were reports of them stepping aside because old ladies were being thrown out of voting booths by the national police. And it is we're not far away from something like that erupting. We have to be wary of it. What should we do?
Yes,
as people that are somewhat removed because we're thousands of miles away from this.
Yeah.
But also as people that are within politics and talking about these issues.
And our issues in the UK are not a million miles away, are they? There's a whole deportation discussion and
exactly.
Discussion around how do we defend our borders? How far can we go to do that?
Here's my suggestion for us and for everybody out there. Give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Assume the best intentions of the person you're talking to and arguing with, because they are most likely a decent person that cares about other people. Whether they're on the right, whether they're on the left, whether they're liberal, conservative, whatever, assume the best of intentions and work from there.
Yeah.
Right? And stop trying to take people out of context. People on the left, or the quote unquote left, I think have to understand that the people on the right they're not in favour of fascism, right? They don't think this is fascism.
Yeah.
Right? They are in favour of the law being applied, of people being protected, etc. The people on the right, you have to understand that the people on the left are decent people that think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And there has to be dialogue. You know, I mean, we talked a lot about Charlie Kirk and his assassination last year. I can't remember the exact quote of his, but it's something like the problems start when people stop talking.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting more and more worried that people are just deciding it's not worth having those conversations with somebody who disagrees.
Yeah. And it's that kind of people jump up, ratchet everything up, don't they? So particularly on the deportation arguments here, you notice that, you know, everyone's trying to get one step ahead of everybody else, and it gets things pushed to a level where I start to feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, because, and that's the social media infrastructure.
Yeah.
It rewards people that are saying the more extreme things, because that's what we
Yes.
want to see, right? We want to go on the internet and see the extreme things.
Yeah.
So it rewards people that are posting something that's outflanking
Yeah.
their competitors within the market of ideas.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we've got to remain more nuanced and
Careful.
more reasonable.
Yeah. Agreed.